Birmingham City are about to start their new season. Mistakes and heartache.
Right on, Ian and Steve and all the other Bluenoses.
Brilliant, Dan. Cheers for this, Dan.
Cheers, no worries, mate. Thank you
very much.
Keep right on.
Hey, Ian.
Keep right on, baby.
Keep right on.
Keep right on.
What's going on, Bluenoses? So joining me today is Dan Salisbury-Jones. How you doing, Dan?
Yeah, really good, thank you, mate. Not too bad. Not too bad at all.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. And thank you so much for doing this for me, Dan. This is massive for me. I'm just really, really grateful that you gave up your time to come and do this.
Oh, mate, don't worry about it. Pleasure to come on and talk about football.
Oh, thank you, mate. I've got to say as well, with the excitement around Birmingham City at the minute and the ITV documentary, because some of the viewers that might not know who you are, I'm pretty sure that a lot of them do, but you're an ITV presenter, aren't you? So as of the Blues documentary, I think you've done a really, really smashing job of presenting that. It was just really nice to watch, Dan.
Well, thank you, mate. That genuinely means a lot, because I was conscious about doing it because obviously it's a relegation season, and you know there could be people that look at that and go, "Well, it's just you're taking the mick," but actually it was such a compelling story because of the lack of success on the pitch, but actually the overriding feeling around the football club, which you're seeing now in spades, obviously. So I just think it's a unique story, and I think it was important to show what the club means to people, and that it's not just any old club that's been taken over by ambitious owners. Yeah.
I mean, Birmingham City, it's a working class club. I mean, my dad's been going there years. I remember, in the days, I'm 32, but I remember, in the days when I was a little boy, and it was he used to carry me through the turnstiles. He's always worked hard. He's always provided for us. He's always done what he's had to do. And, you can tell. And, when you look around the stadium, the working class. And the only thing that I wanted to kind of ask you, because I know that you mentioned it briefly on the documentary, a bit like the ticket prices and stuff, I just hope that, with all the excitement, and I pray that Birmingham do go to the top, and obviously with the new stadium and things like that, that it doesn't affect people that don't earn a lot of money as compared to people who are in better jobs and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, 100%. And you're talking about your dad there. I have a similar story with my dad taking me to matches of the team I support, none of who aren't in the Midlands, so don't worry, anybody watching this. It's but that connection, you just never. I don't think you can underestimate that. My dad's no longer around, but that was our thing, and it will always be there. And so it just means so much, and I think that's why I get really passionate about these stories and supporters being able to afford to keep going to the matches, because I know I've got a posh name, but that was a mistake, and when I was much younger, my dad couldn't afford to take us, and that was kind of the way football was going at that time. And so I get that it's it must be awful to be priced out of football. And that was one thing that I asked Tom Wagner about earlier this week. I said, will it always be affordable?
That's why I asked this question, Dan, because of when you was talking to Tom Wagner on that documentary. I just hope. I mean, Tom doesn't seem that kind of person. I mean, 'cause there's a lot of money involved in football, but you know, when I look at Tom Wagner, to me, I just can't believe what he's done. He's like a family man, and like considering he's worked really well in life and he's got where he is, you know, he could sit anywhere. And like I've been to games and he's been sitting with the fans, mate. You know, on a normal seat, and I just
Yeah,
hope that
great.
it doesn't
Yeah,
affect people.
I think there is a danger. You know, you're seeing it across the city at the moment with PSR regulations and clubs looking at any way possible that they can increase their revenue. And look, Birmingham City's owners have come in and said that they want to increase the revenue. That's why they want to make the match day experience more holistic and not just about the football match. They want to have people coming to the sports quarter and spending a lot of time there and spending their money there.
Yeah.
And obviously I don't think anybody's got an issue with that, but I just think obviously, and I'm sure they will be conscious of this, and they're quite fortunate in some sense because there are other clubs ahead of them that are making those changes and probably finding where the boundary is of what's acceptable to supporters and what isn't. So I'm sure they'll be paying attention to that, and they'll they realize that the feel-good factor around the club is as important as the revenue, and so I'm sure that they'll be sensible with that. And my God, isn't that just such a lovely problem to have at the moment compared to what it was like, 2 years ago?
Yeah, Dan, honestly, I can't put it into words. Going relegated, it was a strange feeling for me because I've never seen it before. The last time Birmingham was in the third tier, I was pretty much in nappies. So my dad was going, and I was only 2 years old, and I've never seen it before in my lifetime. And I've got to say, it's an experience. There's teams that I've never seen Birmingham play. So, in that respect, I'm kind of excited. But getting relegated at the time, it was just such a weird feeling because obviously we won the last game. So you had the emotions of winning and then obviously getting relegated. It was just a really strange feeling and a feeling that I've never experienced before. But
it must be strange for you now winning football matches, so regularly. Do you know what I mean? Though, because you haven't been, it took a long time to get relegated from the Championship, but there are a lot of seasons where you weren't challenging at the top of the league, and that means obviously that wins are few and far between. Whereas at the moment, basically every week you're expected to win.
I know, and like the atmosphere and like the teams that are looking in from the outside, they can't believe it because getting relegation, you think fans tend to disappear. And I watched an interesting interview, Jay Stansfield's interview after the game against Wrexham, and he mentioned that about getting relegated, fans tend to go away, but not with his club, he said, and I think that was a really nice comment to make. And Blues fans have been through it, Dan. Over the years, we've seen Keith right on through the joys and sorrows. I was privileged and lucky enough to have a good childhood with Birmingham. She was in the Premier League. So that was my era growing up, Birmingham in the Premier League. And now it's gradually got worse. And my sorrows have come later on, supporting Blues. But the old generation, like my dad and stuff, I'm really excited for those people because they've had years of pain and sorrows. And the way you done that documentary, Dan, it was just phenomenal. Going down winning, I love the title of it as well. It's just really good. The attention on Blues at the minute is just superb. Did you organise that documentary, Dan? What kind of happened? Did Blues get in touch with you, or
no? So we organised it. We had a conversation among at ITV. We were just looking to do a sports documentary for ITVX to kind of increase what's on offer there, and we thought a sports documentary. I initially actually thought about doing it just over pre-season with Blues, and then I thought to myself, well, actually, for a wider audience, the last year you have to have the context of the last year.
Yeah.
make that work. And then I realized, well, we filmed so many times with Blues because it was such a good story.
Yeah.
The ups and downs of it, that we had so much already there. And then, you know, I do have a really good relationship with Blues, and we spoke about what we could do with the pre-season stuff that you saw. Yeah, I think they understood that what we were doing, and you know, it was nice in some ways because it wasn't that like fly on the wall type documentary. We could be freer, and actually, you know, that allowed us to address some of the stuff that went wrong, but at the same time focus on what were the amazing highs of this last year, which is you know, unprecedented in a relegation season, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only getting better. Like, I mean, I can't believe the money that we've spent. You know yourself, you know the media and stuff. Like, what's it? I mean, do you like hear things through your career about? Because like, as somebody like me, you know, you read the news and stuff, and it's like Birmingham are getting slated for spending this and that. Like, what's it like behind the scenes? Like, do you like hear it through people and stuff like?
Well, what would normally happen is one club will brief how much they paid, and so the buying club will brief how much they paid, and the selling club will brief how much they paid, and generally those numbers don't match, and you know, they're saying what looks better for them. So Fulham, I'm sure, would have said 50 million plus add-ons that got however much, and Blues would have disputed that number, and I think have just said, you know, look, it's undisclosed. So that's kind of the way that it works. I mean, to be honest, it's all just kind of sort of numbers, isn't it? You know, it's meaningless. You know, you look at Manchester United, there's huge levels of debt, and yet they have the highest wage bill in the world. They have no danger of going under or anything like that. And so, you know, I think it's difficult sometimes to paint an accurate picture of what exactly happened. You know, people will look at that and go, "Oh my God, well, how can Birmingham possibly afford that?" Well, actually, outside of the teams with parachute payments from the Premier League, they've got the biggest revenue of anyone in the Championship. So,
it's phenomenal.
So they're very well placed to crack on, and you know, they want to get assets in. You know, if you have somebody like Jay Stansfield, very young English player, he's already got off the mark. Obviously, his value is not going to drop in that period of time. So, he's an asset. You know, if you bought him and he was 36 for that price, then you've got a problem. But you really, you know, I just think it's.
It was more of a case because the only reason I asked that question, Dan, was because obviously the season that we had last season, and you know yourself, you know, when you're in the documentary, I love that you mentioned Wayne Rooney as well. I was laughing when I was watching it. You just presented it so well. And then when Birmingham have obviously come into the third tier now, you know, they've done the stadium upgrades, the training facilities, the hospitality stuff, the sports science. You know, there's so many good things that they've done. But like obviously, like the media in the sporting sector, you know, they're kind of like slating Birmingham a little bit. You know, like having like little niggles and stuff. And it was like I watched one the other day with Simon Jordan on TalkSport. You know, like Birmingham are doing this and doing that. Courtney off Sky Sports as well. Like, do you really need to spend 15 million on one player and all this? And you know, it's as if they're making us feel bad for doing things that we want to do to make the club better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's some, you know, I think that comment I kind of understand to a certain extent, because you could sign more players for that money and have a competitive squad in League One for the money that is. But
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, it's not their money. It's Birmingham City, so they'll choose how they want to do it. And obviously, people are free to make a comment on that, and people will have opinions. But I don't think you should get upset about those opinions.
No.
I think the thing is just once you're proven right, then you can say, well, you know, you can just enjoy it, you know, and just people have opinions. I think on a local level, we are more aware of what is going on and kind of understand, you know, the work off the pitch that the club is doing and all the positive feeling that is around the place at the moment. And I think that you know, that's just the way it is. And you know, it's like people slate you know, it's a slightly different issue, but Wrexham, and they may not understand the history of that football club and the support that's gone there before it. And basically, most clubs would love this to be happening to their.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know, like I said before, Dan, the way you presented the documentary, it was just really nice to watch, and doing it around the community and stuff. You know, on the Midlands as well. You know, you do like a cracking job, Dan.
Thanks, mate. Cheers. Try and have a laugh, don't we?
But yeah, I think I saw you at the game as well.
Yeah. It was absolutely. It was an extraordinary atmosphere for League One, and you know, and been at St Andrews, and over the last couple of years, kind of seen the atmosphere grow from, you know, the whole of the lower tier when the seats weren't there, and there's still being empty seats in the tier above, to now being packed out, full stadium, and the noise that was generated in there was just phenomenal. There was a low, obviously, when Wrexham went ahead, and I think, you know, there were a lot of question marks about the way that Birmingham were playing in that first half until they grew into the game. You know, I mean, that was genuinely one of the best atmospheres I've ever been in. You know, I would probably
superb, Dan.
It was honestly, it was absolutely electric. It was fantastic.
You know what I really liked about it as well is the fact that because both of these teams are going in the right direction. Granted, Wrexham haven't spent as much as Birmingham, i.e., like, you know, the stadium upgrades, the transfer window, but
they don't make as much as Birmingham. So
you've got decent owners. They've got decent owners, Dan. With the TV series that they've got as well, you know, they're all over America. The amount of revenue that's generating for Wrexham and Birmingham's model as well, the revenue that they're creating when these two teams play together. I mean, I don't even know what the figures are for the revenue, but I heard, you know, it was one of the biggest games so far this season to draw that amount of revenue in. You know, that's brilliant for both of these clubs, isn't it?
Really excited.
And made it as well.
And as I say, you know, fans of other clubs will slate what's going on at both of these clubs because it's just kind of quite easy to do because there's the American angle to it. But actually, the people that are involved in these clubs, they know actually what's going on, and that's why it's water off a duck's back, because you know that your football club is definitely heading in the right direction at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot of eyes on both teams, but I mean, the credit to the Wrexham fans as well, you know, because they kept singing all the way through, even when, you know, Birmingham scored 2 after, they were still singing. It was just brilliant to watch, and even David Beckham, you know, like, he commented on it, didn't he? I'm not sure if you watched the.
Brilliant, absolutely great. You know, he's on Champions League coverage and he's talking about a League One game. It was fantastic, and you know, it's there's a bit of you know, context to it and kind of stay calm because obviously it is still September.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not like, well, obviously next season you're not going to be playing in the Champions League, but you know, the feel good that is around at the moment is absolutely brilliant. And do you know what? It goes beyond Birmingham. Actually, just Midlands football in general at the moment, I think, is in such a healthy place compared to 2-3 years ago when there were some real serious problems that were facing in a number of clubs.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, you know, because West Brom, they're like in a similar situation. They've just been took over, haven't they, by, is it American owners as well?
Yeah, Shilan Patel from Florida. You know, they love him. He's come in and really steadied the ship there, and has them really galvanized. Do you know what? I was really concerned because I went to that the Albion game, the last pre-season match of the season, where Blues were obviously fantastic in that game, and I thought, oh God, like the news emerged that day that West Brom had to sign.
I saw you actually. You was on the tunnel. You was by the tunnel, wasn't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Watched that last
night. Well, you saw that day the news emerge of Albion having having to sign up to this business plan with the EFL, and you know that they couldn't spend a lot of money, but my word, what a great start they've made to the season, and with Corberan in charge, and everything seems to be really positive at that club now. You know, Coventry City 2 years ago thought that they might be having to leave the stadium and all the rest of it, and now they are very settled with Doug King and are moving forward in the right direction. You look at, obviously, Villa are doing very well in the Champions League at the moment. You know, extraordinarily well, to be honest. I know this is a Blues podcast, but you understand that is happening. You know, let's not fool ourselves. And even Burton Albion, you know, taken over by this Scandinavian consortium with all these amazing plans there. So there's just a general
as well, you know, they're playing decent football.
Walsall are doing brilliantly at the moment. Absolutely. Again, they have ambitious owners. And the owner there from America, he's coming over quite regularly and seeing the stuff that's happening there. They seem to have settled on Matt Sadler as their man to properly take them finally out of League Two. And you know, who's to say that they won't do that this season?
Yeah, it's exciting all round, you know, like you say. But there's definitely like a lot of excitement around the Midlands, like you say. You know, I'm glad you mentioned that as well, Dan. You know, for other people that are watching who don't support Birmingham, you know, I'm sure they'll be really grateful to hear that from you as well, Dan. But like Birmingham fans, you know, they've been through it, Dan. Obviously, you've spoken behind the scenes and stuff. You know, you've done the documentary. For the fans that are watching this that are still on the fence or hurt from previous years, have you got a message that you could share to try and make them feel a bit better from what you've seen or spoke about with the owners?
I think you have to enjoy these moments. That doesn't mean that you just throw away any skepticism, because it's good to have that. You need to be alert to what people can end up doing. Anybody can make mistakes, but you also need to know that they are serious about this project, and it is going to be absolutely enormous. And you know, your football club is going to rise again, and I see no reason why it can't get back into the Premier League. And once you're there, you have this connectivity with HS2. You have a new stadium. You have the excitement all around this area. There really is no limit to what can be achieved. Somebody has identified your football club for good reasons. They thought this is the second city in England. It's the club with the name of the second city in England. It's been in distress for a long time. We all know that.
Yeah.
And actually, they're turning it around. And the fact that they spent so much money on a stadium that they're going to knock down, I think
it speaks volumes, doesn't it, Dan?
It's brilliant. Look, until you find something that suggests otherwise, be excited and enjoy it.
Yeah, and make loads of memories as well. It's really important. But Dan,
100%. That's absolutely right. You'll this is, fingers crossed, the only season you'll ever have in this division. So enjoy it.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Dan, thank you so much for making time for me. Keep doing what you're doing. You're a brilliant guy. Everything you do, it's really a pleasure to watch. So keep doing what you're doing, Dan. It was nice of you to mention the Midlands as well.
You keep doing what you do, mate. You keep doing what you do. I think it's really nice. It's special. It's good to get that content out there and show what this club means to supporters.
Oh, thanks, Dan. But if you could give the Bluenoses a keep right on, and my dad and Steve as well. Steve's his best mate. They're really looking forward to this. So if you could say keep right on to Ian and Steve and the Bluenoses watching, Dan, that'd be awesome.
Keep right on, Ian and Steve, and all the other Bluenoses.
Brilliant, Dan. Cheers for this, Dan.
Cheers. No worries, mate. Thank you
very much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.